Can I just say I miss having you all here? As the music was playing, I was imagining you coming up and lighting the candles, and just to have your warmth in this room. So I'm grateful that you are with us. When I first sat to gather my thoughts about this Memorial Day service, I had the image of the red poppies rise up in my mind. It was a memory from my childhood. Around Memorial Day, we would go get them in the store for a donation or from the American Legion, and we'd hang them on the car mirror, or we'd put them on our button, or we'd put them on the end of our pencils. But as in so many of those kinds of traditions in our lives, I had no idea what they represented. Maybe once upon a time I had heard the poem In Flanders Fields, but I learned of it anew as I read about poppies. It was written by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, who was moved by the red flowers he saw popping up all over the European battlefields. He noticed a cluster of poppies in Flanders Fields in Belgium shortly after a huge battle had killed 87,000 Allied soldiers, including one of his close friends. To channel his grief, he wrote the poem In Flanders Fields, and I share a portion of the poem with you. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. There is no shortage of grief and anger and trauma in our world. Finding ways to channel them is vital to our staying alive. Some of us may write poetry or paint, while others might exercise or work in gardens and cook or meditate. Maybe you pray, sing or build things, or take photographs. Some of us may simply clean, rearrange furniture, or move little things around, always trying to find some sort of balance and beauty, some sort of respite as we process all that we take in and all there is to navigate as we live the complexities of life. For many years now, I have lived in places filled with the harshness of poverty and despair, as well as deep love and inspiring creativity. Poppy-like places that are filled with the beauty of delicate flowers and a life force as hardy and as resilient as weeds. And most importantly, a strong sense of community that keeps us all grounded and somewhat sane, reminding us that we're in this together. As I was talking on the phone this week with Jackie Hyder, a longtime Fool and volunteer, she asked me, "What keeps you in the Tenderloin and at the Fools?" Without really thinking, I responded with a line I love from the movie Arthur. "It's what I live for." Now, in the movie, Hobbes said it was with sarcasm. But when I said it so spontaneously, "It's what I live for," it wasn't being sarcastic. I have been thinking of my response since then. Is it really what I live for? There's a big, bright yes Y-E-S, made of cloth that hangs in the entrance of the Fool's Court. It is a declaration and a permission for all of us who come and go to say yes to life and all the glorious absurdities we encounter throughout each day. The yes hangs there to remind us and encourage us as we move back and forth over the threshold from home into the streets, from the Tenderloin into the barrios of Nicaragua, down to the chambers of City Hall, or up here to the sanctuary of the church. It hangs there to challenge me, to challenge Sharon, to challenge Sam, all of us fools, to say yes. Not only to say yes to life and our longings, but yes, we need to feel the anger and grief at the fact that thousands of people of all ages are homeless and dying on the streets throughout our city and our world. We say yes to our anger that pharmaceutical companies preyed on people to make a profit by promoting an addiction to opioids, and yet we focus the blame on the people living with the consequences of their greed. We say yes to the anger and grief we feel when our friend Cheryl tells us that she only discovered at 34 years old that the pain and restriction in her shoulder that she was seeing the doctor for was because it had been crushed at birth when the doctor yanked her carelessly out of the womb and never bothered to tell her mother he had broken her shoulder. Because that's what some people did to black children, her white doctor told her. When she called to tell her mother what she had discovered, her mother cried. Yes, we say to understanding when we work with people that their trauma is deep and the healing is lifelong, as is the need for compassion and accompaniment. Yes, we say to Carl, a Vietnam vet who has a room in a residential hotel but spends most of his day in the streets. He told me one day, "The monsters are too big in my head for this tiny room." Yes, we say to having to grapple with actions of our ancestors. Like Sam's grandfather, she told me once, that she discovered when she was older that he helped define the targets for the dropping of the atomic bomb. He was a brilliant physicist, and he participated in the dropping of the atomic bomb. We say yes to protesting the violence of war, and we honor the lives of those serving. When our big red yes begins to fade, we take it down and we color it anew with bright red dye, and with the ongoing commitment of many people. We invite you this morning to refresh the color of your yes, your Y-E-S, to join us in protesting the violence of war and honoring the lives of those who have served. To never tire for working for peace and justice and the well-being of our earth and every creature. To say yes now, today, and into every tomorrow. It is what we live for.